All right. Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Hey, first and foremost, before I get started, like always, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachahakodash. Hey, double honors to our apostles, our elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well in sound doctrine. Peace, love, and salutation to Yakim out there doing the work with truth and sincerity. And a strong shalom to hopeful elect. I'm the brothers of Raya Allah down here at the GMS Virginia camp, back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. The title of this lesson is just a quick response for a personal testimony, okay, of being in order. Okay, so that being said, I just watched the video, earlier at the plantation, but the elder, Manata Zatba, he did a lesson in regards to the guy in London, and then there was another video in regards to the whole South Carolina or North Carolina situation where the guy came up to the camp. If you watch the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it was beautiful to see that, because I was in that same situation about 4 years ago. So case in point, when I was living in South Carolina, you know I would watch Elder Monatazat videos and so on and so forth, and I wanted to join the camp and so on and so forth. And I was still in the midst of being in the military. So long story short, being back where I'm from, I got with brothers back to where I was from. And before that happened, I was on the comment board. This was before I had a Hebrew name. This was like I was very fresh. I never forget, I was very fresh. I went on the comment board and I seen that the elder was live, or I thought it was, and I think it was just like a repost. So when I commented on it, I said, hey, are you brothers still out there? I want to come out. And I believe along the lines I said, watch, not even knowing, like me being ignorant, not even realizing that, hey, you're not supposed to come out there and watch. You're supposed to come out there to learn, to soak up in the information, take notes, and so on and so forth, which those was my true intentions. I just didn't word it properly going on the comment board. So with that being said, when I said that, the elder responded back and he said, what the hell did you want to do with us, or so on and so forth? Like, who are you? This and that and the third. And me, when I first read the message, I was like, damn, I was hurt. I was like, damn, I'm trying to turn my life over to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. I'm trying to join a camp. I'm trying to learn and grow as much as I can, and here I am getting, rebuked about the whole matter, But if the average person, they'd take that and they'd get offensive, right? They'd get offensive, they'd get emotional, right? And then they'd just, speak all type of crazy different things. So this is why I want to grab this real quick. Let me see, Salaki. This is James. Let me see. Lost my train of thought. Okay, here it is. This is James chapter 1 and verse 19. It says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of the Most High. Yeah, so you have to be, slow to wrath. So receiving that proof, whatever the case, hey, you have to listen to the message. Don't necessarily listen to how the message may come on, but listen to what's being said. And like the elder he brought out, a lot of things are going on, and during that time I don't know what was going on. I didn't know about the whole agent thing and the shit that was going on, because you have a lot of people that have ill intentions that want to come up to the camp. They want to do things to brothers, and you have to be circumspect. Teachers, the scriptures teach us to be circumspect, to be wise, to be watchful. We're watchmen, right? So we can't just be all willy-nilly and careless about our decisions and just let anybody come up to deal with you, And I and during that time period, I didn't understand that, and it took, I wouldn't say counsel, but it took a conversation to have with other brothers that I was dealing with, and they helped me through the whole situation. I told them the whole matter, and they said, yeah, you just have to, certain things that you have to do things, and the scriptures go into that. Let all things be done, decently in order. It was a certain way they had to go about it, and me going up on my own, it just didn't look right. I'm pretty sure it probably did look like to the elder that I was a agent, whatever the case may be. So Like, you just have to keep things in perspective and understand, like, hey, if you're truly sincere, there's a certain way that you're going to move about it when you're coming up to, first and foremost, elders or men of the Lord that's teaching this truth. There's a certain way that you have to conduct yourself, and a certain way that you have to be approach the whole matter of the situation. Like, case in point, start off, watching on camera, and then as you learn and go and taking your notes, hey, post a couple precepts here and there. And then once you get familiar with putting up precepts, and now that you're familiar with putting up precepts, now you should be wanting to do your own lessons, putting your own lessons up. And now when it's comfortable with putting your own lessons up, you got your face, you got your Hebrew, you got your face on camera, you got your Hebrew name, you're learning under this, doctrine of this particular camp, right? Then you start to be like, hey, I want to come up under this camp. I want to grow. Where can I come at? Where can I meet? And you do it in a respectful manner. That's the whole point. You want to do it in a respectful manner. But going back to the precept, you want to be slow to rap. Don't let your emotions or your anger deteriorate you and say, oh, you trying to, close the gospel from me, or you in the world they call it gatekeeping. You trying to gatekeep me from understanding this truth. No, that's not the case at all. We have to be wise. We have to be circumspect, especially now in these times, man. One of the brothers in LA got stabbed up, so it's too much shit going on, and this is why we have to be circumspect and putting our emotions to the side, concerning certain matters, because at the end of the day, brothers care about each other's safety. We want to be safe. Yeah, we risking our freedom and lives to do this work and everything like that, but hey, first and foremost, we have to protect ourselves. We have to be safe. Another precept that I wanted to get, that which was on my spirit, was Ephesians, the 4th chapter, and let me see, I think it was so like, give me a second, because I wrote them down on my phone when I'm going live on my phone, so bear with me. Oh, here it is. This is Ephesians chapter 4. Here it is. This is Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 31. It says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. Right? So it says, let all the bitterness. So going back to the my testimony, when I had spoke, on the comment board with the elder and so on and so forth, my feelings was hurt. My feelings were genuinely hurt. But you have to realize, coming to serve the Lord, it ain't about your feelings. It ain't about your emotions. Okay, you have to be a man and put that shit to the side and realize, hey, look, this is what it is, and you have to deal with it. So like how the elder told that one guy or a brother, right? Now's not the time. Come back later. He should have took that and did that, which I ain't gonna go into the whole situation. It was already resolved. But the point being made is, in my situation, when the elder said, just watch from the live, I took it and I said, boom. I didn't just go on my own accord and still try to go, because long story short, where the elder was, I was 2.5 hours away. So I was already halfway there, trying to, because I told myself, I said, I cast a lot and I praised the Lord. I said, Lord, be over your will for me to, go next Saturday. I'm gonna go, give alms, this and that and the third. Like, I had, genuine intentions. I was like, I'm gonna give alms. I'm gonna sit out there and listen, meet the elder, ask, any particular questions that I may have about the scriptures, and I'm gonna go every Saturday, Lord's will. And when I cast a lot, the Spirit said, yeah, go down there. So as I'm going down there, I'm driving, right? I'm probably like an hour 30 minutes in, and I was like, perfect, they live. So I put the comment, and this was before I had a Hebrew name, so you can only imagine how that may look. Like dang, you already all halfway there. You text in the comment board saying, hey, I want to come out and watch where exactly this is. That comes off like, kind of skeptical. So I can understand from his perspective, now being in the truth, now being on the other side of things, you kind of get it changed the whole dynamic of the spectrum, because us looking in from the outside in, you may be sincere and how the way you word certain things or say something in regards to trying to meet up with a camp. If you're not doing it the right way, then it's gonna look off or come off like you may be an angel or you have ill intentions, and they might not be the case. But hey, at the end of the day, you can't get mad about the situation because of elders being, precautious, or a brother leading that camp, or a brother that's, or watching the comment. Hey, we have to take precaution, right? That's why the scripture, hey, let everything be done decently in order, man. So I'm gonna read this again. It says, "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice." Right? Because just because that little incident happened, I could have got bitter about the situation. Man, I could have been like, "Fuck the Hebrew Israelites, fuck this truth," da 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 da, and I could have got real emotional, got real bitter at heart, and get salty because I'm thinking that the elder didn't want to accept me, or Yahweh Shemi Ashai didn't want to accept me. I could have. Average person could have taken it that way and call on Yahweh Shemi outside that I didn't. I took the, whatever you want to call it, rebuke or the message. I took it on the chin and I said, you know what? I'm going to pray to the Lord, and the Lord going to work this out for me. And that's why I want to get this other precept. Salaki, I'm moving from the scroll on my tablet, but it was this other precept that I had. What was it? Let's see where it's at. Salaki, bear with me. Oh yeah, here it is. Call on Yahweh Shemi Ashai. Yeah, so this is Philippians chapter 4 and verse 6. And I'm gonna read it in the NOT, and it reads, it says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell the Most High what you need and thank Him for all that He has done." Right. So in that situation, not knowing if I'm ever gonna, be in a camp, not knowing if I'm ever gonna meet the elder or come across a camp, so I can be, because in this thing you have to be guided. You need counsel. You need men above you to teach you and guide you on the path of righteousness, because essentially you cannot do it on your own. This ministry is not built for you to do it on your own. Yahweh Shai didn't do it on his own. He had his disciples with him. He had his 12 disciples with him, and they were going to and fro, teach his word, and so on and so forth. This truth is not built for you to do it alone. Okay, that lone wolf spirit, hey, that's a demon. That's a demonic spirit that you do not want to have. So me being fresh in, I was like, man, I gotta get around bros. I gotta get around men that's like-minded. I gotta learn. I gotta grow. I was all about it, man. I was full blown. Hey, it was nothing you couldn't tell me. I was so ready to, to meet the elder and do the things that was required of me. Like I was going in blindly. Let's just say, but it had took time for me to kind of grow, learn more about the scriptures, learn more about the spirit and how the way that I need to maneuver. And then as time went on, the spirit had it to where, I ended up being where I was from, and then, I moved, and then I talked with the brothers that where I was from and got everything situated. They made contact with the brothers in Virginia and so on and so forth, and told them about me, how I've been diligent, coming every Saturday, doing my 3 or more lessons every week. Homework that they was giving out, I was doing that, so I was very diligent. So when they told the brothers in Virginia about me and so on and so forth, everything worked itself out. And then I was in Virginia for the time that I was in, and then boom, I ended up getting crossed over through the spirit. But needless to say, I've trusted in the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai, and I prayed. I asked the Lord, I want to be a part of this body. I believe that these are the men that have this truth, and I'm willing to go to the full extent to literally give my life to you, if you will. Basically a vow that we all do when we come upon this truth. We say, hey, look, Lord, this is what we want. This is the truth. We're going to follow you, all right, until we be beamed up on a chair, or until we be put to death for your name's sake. Okay, that is a true vow. Okay, and that's the type of spirit that you want to be in. Okay, if you are new, whatever the case may be, or if you're trying to come up under a camp, you have to be a affiliate. Hey, it's a time and a place for everything, and you have to do it in a proper order, right? So I'm gonna read this again. This is Philippians chapter 4 and verse 6. It says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell the Most High what you need and thank Him for all He has done." It says, "Then you will experience the Most High's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Yahweh Shai HaMashiach." Yeah, and that's essentially what happened, man. I was guided, through the spirit. I kept praying. I kept believing. I kept learning the Hebrew. I kept learning the scriptures. I kept going over the basics, the milks, the breakdown, and so on and so forth. And before you know it, that 3 to 4 month time span, I was pretty much on it. And then after that 3-4 month time span, it went on to, I want to say close to about I want to say like 7 to 8 months, almost to a year. The Lord got me out the situation, you know, and from that testimony alone, the Lord allowed me to get out of the middle, because that is not an easy thing to do. It's really not easy at all. You have to go through so much paperwork, so much of a hassle just to get out of the middle, because you're basically bound by a contract, if you will. So the Lord allowed that to happen to where I was able to get bounded out of that contract. You know, the Lord let me out, and then boom, I was with the brothers up where I was from, you know. And then next thing you know, boom, I'm down in Virginia doing the work with bros, fellowshipping, going out teaching, and the Lord essentially took care of it for me. You know, all I had to do was trust in the Lord. You know, I didn't get emotional about the whole situation. Like I said, when it first happened, I was like, damn, you know, that kind of struck me. But it's like, hey, it is what it is. You know, be a man, you know, and don't be, you know, overly emotional, man. You know, that's a feminine spirit that's to have, man. And another thing is, even though I might have been right in the situation or wrong, whatever the case may be, how the way I came about it, like basically my intentions were true and right, I was genuine, but how the way I went about it, I was wrong. So either way it go, like, it's not about being right or wrong, which is what I'm saying. But if you are right and you feel like you have been wrong, hey, the scripture says suffer wrongfully. You know, so if you truly believe in Yahweh Shem Yahshua, you're gonna suffer wrongfully. You're going to suffer. That's part of being patient. It means to suffer. It means to undergo afflictions and so on and so forth, and subject yourself to a higher power, which happens to be who? Yahweh Shem Yahshua. So meaning whatever trial tribulation that you go through, you have to be patient and have enough faith to get through that, man. You know, and make not haste in the time of trouble, like the scriptures go into. The next precept that I wanted to get was 2nd Esdras chapter 14 and verse 14. It says, let go from thee mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature, right? So with that being said, hey, you supposed to put off those mortal thoughts, you know, because, hey, those mortal thoughts, those could be a detriment to you, and it could take away your crown. You being all doubtful, oh man, these brothers ain't right, you know, they mean, they don't care about brothers. They don't care about me. They talk about all the scriptures and brotherly love and this and that and the third. But when I try to reach out and get with brothers, you know, I got sent away. Like, those are the type of demons that kind of fester on your mind, man. You know, if you're not of the elect, that could be a stumbling block to you, I should say. You know, if you're not a part of the elect, certain things like that, like your emotions or certain things that's being said to you by brothers, that could be a stumbling block unto you, to where you can't get over that stumbling block, and now you out of the camp. Now you out of the truth because you couldn't keep your emotions, okay, and your feelings in check. You know, so I'm gonna read verse 13, 2nd Esdras chapter 14 and verse 13. It says, now therefore set thine house in order, reprove thy people, comfort such as them as be in trouble, and renounce, you know, corruption. So pretty much the earlier part of the verse is, now therefore set thy house in order. Hey, that goes into your spiritual house, you know, and ultimately the house with your family, your children, your wife, whatever it is. Hey, you have to set that in order, because at the end of the day, it could be hard, you know, having children or a wife before the truth, and then now you're telling them, like, look, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, this is what I believe in, and you have to undergo that. Could be very hard, you know. That's a hard, you know, transition to, you know, you were once, you know, celebrating birthdays and Christmases and all this with your kids, and then now you're telling your wife, your kids, hey, there's no more of this and that. That could be hard, but hey, you have to set your house in order. Or same like manner with yourself, within your spirit, you have to rule over your spirit, and only by doing that is by praying and fasting. Okay, certain things that our flesh may crave or desire, we have to be like, look, man, we putting this in subjection through Yahweh Shem Yahshua. We're gonna fast it out, we're gonna pray it out, and we're gonna have faith, you know. Another precept that I had, I had a whole list, so I'm just trying to get through it as quick as possible, being I only have a short time on this lunch break. But oh yeah, Khan, this is Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5. It says, trust in the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshua with all thy heart, and it says, and lean not unto thy own understanding, right? So with that being said, you trusting in Yahweh Shem Yahshua, because the heart is deceitful above all things, You know, like the scripture says, the heart is deceitful above all things. Who can know it? So you trust in your heart, your emotions, and what you feel may be right, and you don't know shit. You know, especially being a baby, and you don't know shit on how things operate, and you getting your emotions about it. Hey, man, the Lord judge your ass for that, man. The Lord can take you out just like that. You know, so you have to trust in Him and be like, okay, you know, this particular situation happened. Let me see, or let me pray to the Lord and see what He wants from me. You know, and then when you do that, you cast your lot. Like, simply, sometimes what I do, I throw heads or tell Lord, if it's your will for me to do this, heads. If not, tails. And after that decision is made, I flip the coin 3 times. Hey, 3 represents understanding. So 2 out of those 3 times, hey, I know that this is what I need to do, and then I go forward and I do it. You know, no questions asked. You know, and that was essentially what I kept doing if I was kind of, you know, indecisive about certain things. Because when you're very new to this thing, you're very indecisive. You're not sure, because you know the scriptures. Hey, there's no maybe. It's either yay or nay. You know what I mean? So you have to be very firm on your answers. You have to be very firm on your actions. So if you're gonna go, you gotta go all the way. And that's what this, you cannot be lukewarm. So if this is something that you truly want, you have to count the cost, and you have to trust in the Lord and say, hey, Lord, this is what I'm gonna do with all my heart. And no matter what obstacle that I face, I have to put my emotions to the side and say, hey, this is of your will, and I'm gonna do it. You know, and that was essentially, you know, the kind of testimony that I had, you know, being in that situation, because I was lost and wasn't sure what I was gonna do, you know. So with that, you know, I kind of, like, you know, I kept faith. And Salaki, somebody walking past, he was eyeballing me. So I wasn't sure whether he was about to come up to the car or something. But lay me who's trending thought. But I'll read it again. This is Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5. It says, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not on thy own understanding. Yeah, so don't lean on your own understanding. Don't try to, you know, make decisions on your own. Hey, seek counsel, seek Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and who knows, the Lord, hey, man, the Lord is going to put you in the best position, you know, possible, you know. Let me see if I had another precept through the Spirit. Oh yeah, this is 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 17. It says, let the elders that rule be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and in doctrine. Right. So men that are above you, okay, that's been doing this for quite some time, and you trust that in Yahweh Shem Yahshua that these are the true men of the Lord. Hey man, you need to follow. You need to follow orders. You need to accept rebuke, okay, and you need to move accordingly in a respectful manner, you know, because if you don't, hey, elders go into it all the time, man. They have zero tolerance for disrespect, for niggas and lukewarm and, you know, just unstable-minded niggas. You know, hey, GMS has zero tolerance for that. So if your spirit ain't right, the Lord gonna reveal it to the men of the Lord. The Lord gonna reveal it to brothers and so on and so forth, and you gonna be up out of there, man. You know, but that was just a quick, you know, little testimony. And another thing, man, don't come up against the elders or come up against, you know, the doctrine, because at the end of the day, you have to look yourself and say, wait, am I going off? Am I wrong? Before you try to correct the elder or so on and so forth. Hey, that's going completely the fuck off, you know. So with that, you know, hey, it ain't about our emotions. It ain't about how we feel. It ain't about what happened or how we was wrong. At the end of the day, it's about Yahweh Shemi Shai, his ministry, and the elect, right? Apostle Paul said, I endure all things for the elect's sake. So it will behoove you to just shut the fuck up and endure, man. You know, shut the fuck up and endure and do the work. It's as simple as that, man. You know, so with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to our apostles, our elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of planet Earth. Brothers Ray Allah from GMS of Virginia Camp. Lord willing, I pray and hope this lesson was edifying. Hey, keep pushing, keep striving. Hey, keep being sincere, a strong shalom. Hey, until next time, shalom.